Spooky Kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome, you guys. Spooky Kid.
Oh my
Spooky
god.
Kid.
Game mode?
Game mode.
Oh my god.
Just for you guys, because you guys are my friends.
Oh my gosh, thanks.
Period.
Oh.
Boots.
All right, that's enough.
Slay
Of
the
that.
top.
I can't do that. Welcome back to another episode of Spooky Kid Podcast. Podcast episode number 7. And I got my co-host, Kristen, with me.
Hello.
And today we have...
Hi guys, I'm Nick.
I'm Christian.
Hey, welcome.
Nick. You were on the very first podcast episode. You remember
Indeed
that?
it was.
And we talked a lot about horror movies.
Mhm.
And Owen did not say a damn thing.
Behind the camera, Owen.
It's okay. He was there to get educated.
It's a
He
thought
was,
that
yeah,
counts.
it was.
It's a
he
thought
was
that
there.
matters.
Yeah, he was. I just appreciate you being there, Owen. Anyways, let's jump into the horror talk.
Mhm.
I know you both love horror movies.
Indeed.
Right? So let's talk about your favorite horror films, the ones that pop right now into your head off the top of your dome.
Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Oh gosh, not to be that film bro, but Alfred Hitchcock, he really made some great movies.
That is such a film bro.
I mean, well, because like, no, I'm such an anxious person that like the way that he did suspense, it really like gets me. Because not a lot of things like scare me,
Mhm.
but like being anxious is like a very real thing that I feel.
Okay.
And like his movies make me anxious, and just even thinking about
So,
it.
so is it safe to say that he's one of your favorite directors?
Yeah, probably. I think whenever you talk about suspense, you have to mention Hitchcock. You can't.
I agree.
You can't get around it. So yeah, he's very influential.
Mhm.
What about you, Nick?
The first one that pops in my brain is Exorcist, which I think I said last time. Yeah.
God, I hate that movie. I
Really?
absolutely hate that movie.
It eats.
I hate it.
Why do you hate it?
Okay, it's not that I hate. It freaks me out. To this
Oh, so
day,
it's
dude.
good. So it did its job.
It did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I can't watch it.
He can
I
relate
can't-
to it too much.
Yeah.
I can't
Oh,
watch it. I can't watch it.
It's just trauma for him at this
Yeah,
point.
Yeah, pretty much. I can't watch it.
that's fine.
But hey, but I mean, that movie I sent you, the clip of that. What was it called? When Evil Lurks.
Oof.
Mm.
I thought that was a pretty great movie. Just
Mhm.
how like the scenes that they shot, how they got all that to like make it look so realistic.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome to me.
Yeah.
And for me as a director that I want to be, those are the shots that I look for or that I want to like recreate, because when I think about doing horror, I think about getting into people's heads
Mm.
and really like fucking with their nerves.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I feel like that movie was one of the ones that actually did that.
Mhm.
And I even showed my boss today and he was like, holy shit, that's wild.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That is always the best horror though, when when you feel like it understands you too much.
Yeah.
So you're just like, it's almost like a personal attack, but you're having fun at the same time because you know what not to do now.
But do
Yeah.
you feel like, okay, maybe I'm just a little twisted in the head, or...
Sometimes, because like you see, like for me, when I see events of like Midsommar, and I'm saying like these people their lives horribly end due to this horrendous cult, and I'm like, work, just seeing Florence Pugh, just like her, the May Queen, and her amazing creepy smile. I'm just like, get over that
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. She did.
He was not worth it.
No, he wasn't.
God, it's such a good movie though.
Yeah. No. I like how we're turning more into like psychological horror than more like
Yes,
more
honestly,
like
for me, that's the best.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it really puts you on edge on thinking like, oh shit, now I got to really think about like what's gonna happen next.
Yeah.
Like, is it this? Is it that?
And even it's like in different genres, it's still
Yeah.
somewhat psychological. Like I saw 2 movies recently, horror films. I saw A Quiet Place Day 1, which is still kind of the psychological aspect because it's more of like, how do we stay silent now in this new world? And then like trying to avoid everything and the mental stress of, because it's supposed to be a post-apocalyptic world
Yeah.
at the same time. So you have to deal with the mental stress of that. And then the other one I saw was The First Omen, which is kind of paranormal.
That one was crazy.
culty.
That was a
I
trip.
loved that movie.
Yeah,
and
that
it
was
was
a good
just the
movie.
psychological aspect of forced pregnancy.
Yeah, body horror.
When I saw
Yeah.
that shot, I was like, whoa.
Are you talking about the one where she witnessed the birth? Oh my god! When I saw it, I went, my god, it was.
My wife was like, don't look, don't look. I was like, I gotta see this. I gotta see it.
I was watching it with my mom in the room. I'm like, and I just turned to her. I'm like,
with your mom in the room.
I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't expect that to happen.
It's like that awkward moment. You're like,
I was like, I was said, close your eyes.
she's like, no, you close your eyes.
But it was great. And even at the end, she was like, it was unrealistic. I'm like,
Obviously,
Okay.
Yeah. So in horror, I rank horror by country.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, that's just how I do it.
Mm.
Not to say that horror movies made here are bad.
Yeah.
Because obviously The Exorcist scares the shit out of me.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I feel like when it comes to horror, like other countries do it better.
I can agree to
I
that.
kind of agree. Yeah.
Because they have their own interpretation, like how horror
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, who do you believe does it better, or if not best?
As a director.
Director, or
As
even
a
just
country.
as a country?
I'll let you lead that.
Oh gosh, don't do this to me. Ooh, I mean, I've seen some Korean horror films
Yeah.
that really, like, when I close my eyes at night, like that is what I see, and I'm just like, oh god. But I've also seen there's some horror films that have come out of Japan that are very, I'd say like Asia as a whole is very. I mean, there's
Asian has they have the right the
Yeah.
right setting for it. Like they know exactly what to do.
yeah,
when it comes to horror.
they're the oldest region, and they're one of the oldest regions,
Yeah.
and they've got those horror stories from being passed down from generation to generation, and
Because they are the most, like, I'd say Asia is like one of the countries that has like the most respect for history.
yes.
And just for the past.
Mhm.
So, when you always see something that will reflect something of past events,
Yeah.
and then just like, even if it doesn't, it'll have similarities, even to some that are not necessarily horror.
Mm.
And I love Asian horror for that.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Incantation?
Oh, I was just thinking about that
so.
movie.
That movie is
That
wild.
What's it
freaked me
about?
out.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it, but basically, they took Buddhism
Mm.
and they reversed it, like reversed engineered the whole thing of what the belief system is.
Mm.
Basically, this little girl gets sick, and her mother is just trying to save her. And it all started with, I believe, the mother and her friends and the baby daddy. They were kind of like making fun of the religion at one of the guy's uncle's. I don't want to say it's a house, but it's like a little like.
Kind of like retreat in a way.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
there's
like-
a bunch of other members. in
Yeah,
there.
so it's basically like little houses all in one little area in the
Yeah.
mountains.
Like a village, yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So they're in there just like poking fun at it, and they basically curse her baby, and because she didn't follow through with like being part of the cult or the
Sure.
religion, so they basically put this whole like thing on her, and she's trying to save her child because she's what she did.
Mhm.
And the way they put the story together, it's fucking insane.
I feel like I've heard of this movie. This premise.
I probably told you about it.
Probably.
It
Uh,
came out like a couple years ago.
yeah, it's
Did
it's
it?
not that old. Yeah, it's on
Okay.
Netflix, I believe. But
Yeah.
that is a great.
What region is it?
I'm sorry.
What region is it?
It's an Asian film.
Yeah,
Asian film.
that's all I can really tell you.
I looked it up and I was like, oh, and then I completely forgot about it.
Mm,
I mean, I don't know like what's.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I can tell by like the way they speak. That's about it. But I really can't say based off of like what the symbols are.
But it was
Okay.
foreign.
It was
a foreign
All
film.
right.
It was Asian for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's
Yeah.
a great movie.
It is.
2 hours though.
Yeah.
2 or 3 hours, something like that. But it's
And there's what is it? A Train to Busan.
Oh, Train to
yeah.
Busan.
Oh,
Yeah.
that movie.
That was good.
That's like the one movie where every time I watch, I will always cry at the end.
Yeah.
Which is always crazy to think of as a horror film to have that where it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, you're a little scared, but it's just or like you are just scared.
Yeah.
But just like for you to be sobbing.
Yeah,
like-
it invokes that type of emotion.
Literally.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine told me about it because she's like full like Korean fan. Like, and she says like most like K cinema and everything like that. There are things that will always need to have like a dramatic pull because for like K dramas, everything like a story's not a story for them if there's not sense of like emotion to it.
Mhm.
So everything they make has to have like really good characters that will at some point need to make you cry. I'm like, you know what? That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because I like unreasonably cry every time.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what separates really good horror movies from like just like okay horror movies is when like it's more than just like horror. Like when there's other aspects that make you feel other things.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a story being told.
Yeah.
In the film, so
And it's
you
really
have
good, yeah.
to feel some kind of emotion
Yeah.
for the characters.
Yeah.
A connection, you know.
Yeah.
That's why I find things like The Exorcist, Train to Busan so interesting. Like for The Exorcist, like the biggest character I have so much like sympathy for is of course the little girl, but like the mom, because it highlights her a lot. You see like the little girl, like she's almost like just a plot device, because it's just you see her cute, innocent, and then you see her kind of turn to this bad. But most of the focus is on the pastor, but also the mom.
Yeah.
Because you're learning how she's trying to deal with this and the mental struggle she's going through, the decisions she had to have her daughter go through, all the procedures she did just to figure out something that wasn't even like what it was. And it's just that stress, and then she's just like, I don't know what it is, I don't even fully understand it, I just know something's wrong and I'm feeling helpless. I can't do anything. And that's where it's just like, that's just really intense. And like when you see her just break down and everything, and you see the bruises, and it's just almost like she doesn't feel bad for herself, because you would, seeing a woman's all like all bruised up and cut, but her thoughts just, help my little girl.
Yeah.
No, yeah, because it's
I
like
mean-
out of her power at that
Yeah.
point. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
then,
who could really deal with something like that?
literally,
Like,
and
it's-
so every time you're just like, can someone win, please?
Yeah.
Like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like they overdid the makeup in that movie, or
The Exorcist?
Yeah. Or do you feel like it's spot on, or do you feel like they could have?
I mean, I've never partaken in an exorcism, so I can't say.
True.
But I wouldn't say it's overdone, because I'd say it's become like the staple of what looks like. I think I said last time that I consider like the Conjuring films to be like aesthetically like sister films to The Exorcist, especially with like the first film and like the witch demon thing that was in that one. You can see such heavy inspirations of Reagan.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
because like with the contacts, with like the raggedy hair and the nightgown, and then like other films like the new Evil Dead films, Evil Dead Rise, like compared to what they originally looked like, they're definitely taking a more Exorcist aspect, because it's that more grounded aspect that I guess
So people believe that's more realistic than what.
Yeah, like even like the first Omen, which you don't really see anybody get like possessed, but it still has like that groundedness that like The Exorcist went for. So I'd say that's kind of what the basis of what everyone would think. Like, oh, I think possessed person, Reagan.
Yeah.
So, if you were to see a brand new horror film, would you say seeing like actual like makeup of exorcism would scare you more than something that is unseen?
That's a good question,
That is a good
because like especially we just saw in Long Legs,
I haven't seen that movie.
holding.
seen that movie.
Okay, well, like they hold. I don't spoil anything. Like they hold off showing you him for so long, and again, it goes back to the suspense of it. Yeah, Nick Cage. So like, I think that holding off on seeing it, seeing the horror, is good as long as there is a release.
Yeah.
But there are those films where you never, like the Blair Witch Project. One of the things I don't like about that movie is that you never
see anything.
see anything.
Yeah.
So like it just doesn't really hit right for me. Yeah.
Headache.
Yeah.
More of just because it was so stressful. I'm just like, I'm about to literally throw up.
I know.
Somebody like calm down, please, for a second. But that is true. I do agree. There needs to be like a point of release, because even like
Yeah.
a film like The Babadook,
Yeah.
where that
I
moment,
haven't seen that movie, but I've heard like bad things about it.
it's good. I do think there are horror community, don't hate me. Slightly better renditions of the type of story it went for, but it's still really good. And the monster in that, which is like actually one of my favorite monster renditions, because it's just so simple looking. So that's what kind of makes it a bit more scarier. It's mostly hidden like shadows and darkness. You only get like one moment where you see it really, and it's like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's at the end too. It's
Yeah,
like,
somewhat.
when he's kind of like growing a little bit, but yeah.
And it's creepy. So, but like even like you get that, and then you just don't see it again. So it's almost that horror of like sorry to bring it back to The Exorcist, but like when you see the demon, like for 2 seconds, it just shows its face, and then it goes away, and then you just have like the hints of the horror through Reagan.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, because me personally, I feel like it's better to have something unseen, because you don't know what it is, where it is, or what it's doing, where it's coming from, and I feel like that builds more of a better suspense than actually seeing a physical character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There was that movie, was it called Mother, where it was the robot
yeah.
that was like making kids, and you never see the outside until like, but again, you see at the very end.
Are you talking about that Netflix movie?
Yeah, I think
It
it
was
was
like
called
a-
Mother.
Yeah, it was like a robot being like a nanny, but then
Yeah.
a human came along, right?
Yes, and it was like breeding
Yeah.
humans. Yeah, and then you never see it. Same thing with Cloverfield Lane. You
love
never
10
see the
Cloverfield
outside
Lane.
until the very. I feel like that at the end just like gotcha twist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a movie where you never see, especially with the Blair Witch Project,
Mhm.
you never see what the monster was or what the evil was.
I feel like there is. I'm just not thinking of it.
Hey, there's
'cause I think a
100%
lot.
is.
Yeah.
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 I
But
have
most-
one that I'm thinking about, but I can't bring it to like.
Like
Yeah.
there's one movie I will say where they did it where they just showed it too early, like two cases. One was the first A Quiet Place. Like that movie, like you were like in the first 10 minutes of the film and you fully saw your monster. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that doesn't give me much tension.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm like, it was better as a family drama with thriller moments.
Yeah.
Not a horror. I think
yeah,
the internet kind of took that a little too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one is like the remake of It. Like I like the build up of it because you just saw Pennywise, but the moment where you saw him, we all saw It, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The moment where you saw him like grab Georgie with his teeth, you kind of see like a lot of the monster. Obviously, as later films go on, and later as that film, you see he's capable of doing more. But it's just like so much already. It's just like, oh,
Because
okay.
like, what else are you gonna expect?
Yeah,
from it?
Yeah.
you've already received so much tension in the beginning. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. And it's for some people that could probably work because obviously he shows he can do more.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's good to have little bits
Yeah.
and then have those big moments just be like, you know, it makes it more scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions you got? Just before I move on to the next one.
What do you think is the worst horror movie in your guys' opinion?
Oh no. Do we want to get controversial?
Yeah.
You lead. And I got one.
Alright.
I'm trying to hear you go. I'm trying to pick
Okay.
one. I have three.
The original Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Oh. Why'd you have to go there, man? Why'd you?
Like I've learned to appreciate it because I bought it physically, and so if I buy it physically, I have to find appreciation into it.
Hey, it's
'cause
like
I,
a little memento you got.
Yeah, and
That's
it's
all.
like-
First, yeah. It's,
I put the investment in it, so I'm like, I'm gonna like it.
Yeah.
So, but like when I first saw it, I'm like, it's just not the best of acting. The effects were cool. I like the effects.
for its time.
Yeah, like I wouldn't call them the best because I've seen other films like earlier and of the same year where I'm like, okay, they kind of killed it there. But I'm like, maybe it's just the budget, which it probably is.
Yeah.
It was
Because
like,
I mean, that's what started the whole franchise.
yeah, it was like a super cheap film too. So I'm like, it's probably just that. But it's just like at the time, I'm like, there's so many cliches in this. I'm like, is this really what made the staple of slashers for like to be like such a, you know, cash cow of a thing?
Yeah.
I've heard like fans say it's like not really the first one they grew attached to. It's more the sequels.
I feel like you said in the first podcast, it's when he got his mask.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I've only seen the second one of sequels, and I hated it more because it's just a beat for beat redo
Yeah.
of the first film. So I'm like, there's just nothing here. But I'm gonna keep trying because I'm gonna try and learn to appreciate Jason for who he is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that because I started watching the whole series and I'm just like, okay, yeah, just put that to the side. It's not bring it
Yeah,
up
that's
again.
definitely more for the people who just like we're here for slashers because we just like seeing people get killed.
Yeah, pretty
and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I'm just a person who likes a little bit more meat on the bone.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah.
to each his own. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say for me, every Saw movie after the first one,
Damn.
Even Saw 10?
every single one.
Really?
They all-
Okay.
I feel like what made Saw such a good movie was that it was so low budget and they did so much with nothing.
They really did.
And I feel like the writing was really good because it was like a passion project. But then a studio picked it up and it was like, oh, you stole M&Ms from CVS when you were 7. There's a key in behind your eyeball. Like the line started getting blurry on like, did they really need to die for this? Like there were some that were like, yeah, you murdered someone or like you falsified medical records. But then there were others where I was like, it seemed like he pushed you one time and now you're dying for it.
Okay.
And the kills kind of got a little
I mean, I
boring.
think at least Saw X was interesting because it was just all people who wronged him.
Yeah, it was more interesting, I think, for sure.
I will say, like, the deaths were, like, a little tame.
Yeah.
Pretty
do you
gory,
want,
but, like, a little
9
tame.
movies for, like, okay?
I haven't seen all 9. I've only seen the first one, X, and the original part 2.
Yeah.
And part 2 is where I saw, I'm like, okay, it's getting weak. But
Yeah.
I still liked it. I would just say some of the acting, I'm just like, it's just like, okay, you're kind of going a little too serious for, like, no reason.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you're trying to go for your Oscar moment, but back down. But like, I still found that as like a really solid trilogy.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see the fourth one, but I'm gonna cut it off before it gets to like too gory because I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
They tried to,
Terrifier
like-
traumatized me enough.
Yeah, they tried to like overcompensate for their lack of like actual story, which is like, but look, his head gets split in half. Yeah. Dude, Terrifier's so funny when he just shoots the dude.
I know.
I've only seen part one.
Part
is-
two is interesting because it's unnecessarily long,
Mhm.
but because how long it is, it has the more interesting story,
Okay.
and it goes such an interesting place at the end. Have you seen two?
I've seen most of it.
Oh, the ending.
I had to
movie
leave.
Was
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
I'm very interested to see where three goes,
Yeah.
which should be releasing this October, I think.
I think it, yeah, I
Hopefully.
think it comes out this
I'd
year.
like to see that in
I
theaters.
want to see if it gets banned at my theater.
Oh,
Because
really?
the second one we played it for a week, and then people complained about it, so we had to take it out.
Oh,
Has
really?
anyone ever passed out watching that movie in your theater or no?
Not to my knowledge, and not to as long as I've been there. Like people were saying, like, oh yeah, people were leaving throwing up. I'm like, oh, I didn't even hear anything.
Yeah.
Like people were just fine.
Huh.
So, with the whole studio thing that you were saying, do you feel when studios pick up movies that, you know, like directors already have a set goal for it, once the studio picks it up for bigger budgets, do you believe that's when it loses that value it had when it first started?
I think so sometimes. Because I
Depending
feel
on the
like
project.
studios want to make money, not art. They don't care if,
Nowadays.
yeah, they don't care if it's good. They care if people will go to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So like when things are small passion projects, which is why people love A24 so much, because they have smaller budgets and they just distribute the film. They don't actually like,
And they're movies you see the people that are making them genuinely want to make.
yes.
And it's that prime example of old Hollywood to A24 being like, hey, we're doing, because right now they're trying to make themselves a bit more commercial because they're like, they've had too many flops. So they're like, we need to make some money so we stay afloat and let people make the movies they want
Yeah.
to make. So it's just like, right now they're doing that little bit of like, okay, we need like a little bit of X, Y, and Z just to gain that commercialability.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about them. And that's what Hollywood needs to kind of go back to, in my opinion, because like you said, it needs to make money. So they're going to be like, okay, for this type of story, I'm going to need this safety net of like either this actress or, oh, they got to fall in love in the end. Or there's like, you know, slight cliches where they'll be like, okay, I'm comfortable enough where people can come to it. But nowadays, it's just kind of insane, especially with them trying to like replace everybody with a robot.
Yeah.
The AI stuff.
Yeah.
It's sad.
AI is not
Hollywood, get your shit together.
art.
Yeah, kind of.
Especially with that My Interview with the Devil movie. It was great, but then they used AI for some of it.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I don't.
I was honestly expecting more out of it because the way they advertised, I was like, oh, it must be a good movie. But then I saw, I was like,
I think it was pretty good. I like the
what
main
it is.
actor, yeah.
Like IFC, that's a like Indie as a studio as it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
And for it to get anywhere, like on the box office, it did like pretty solid for like as small as a release it had. So it's just like good for them.
Yeah.
Like every like indie studio is trying to get their own thing. Like Neon,
Yeah.
they're making their
They
jump.
just did Long Legs,
Yeah, Long Legs. They're trying to be like, oh, we're our own A24 now.
Yeah.
Because if you've paid attention enough, you've seen like they helped produce a lot
Yeah.
of movies like A24 did.
Yeah.
So you know they're like trying to go by A24's lead.
Yeah.
and that's smart that they're trying to go with horror because
And-
it's cheap.
Yeah.
and they're iconic.
And they did Bodies too, right?
A24 did.
A24 did? Well,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
kidding.
A24.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great movie.
Yeah,
Haven't
but
seen
you know
that
what
one
they're
either.
doing right now?
Yeah.
They're doing They Follow.
Oh,
Yeah. And what? Why?
I just again, kind of towards his argument, I think in the remake they did it too soon. They showed
remake?
yeah, they did it too soon. Am I thinking of the wrong thing?
Yes, you are. I think
It follows and then they
Yeah.
follow.
it's a sequel.
Yeah, but no, there was a first one, wasn't there?
No.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
As far as I know, It Follows is an original plot that I'm super excited to see a sequel because it's just like
Oh, are they actually?
yeah, and the director like made a full announcement, like gave a poster where it's titled "They Follow."
Is he gonna have the same actress as
Yeah.
the first one?
She's coming back.
Yeah.
I think he's getting most of the original group together.
Because I also thought she was great in The Watcher. The Watchers. That was. I
I
just
love
saw
that you
that
know
the
that
other
movie.
Wait, are
day.
we talking about the old school Watcher or the new Watcher?
It's a new Watcher. It came out 2021.
No, I know,
it was
but I know there's like an
22.
older version of the Watcher, so I'm.
Yeah, this
I
one is well, how would I describe it? Well, how I describe it to people who I'm like trying to get it into
Mhm.
is I call it Psycho made in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Because it's I gave a brief synopsis. About a girl, she moves to a new country with her boyfriend, and she feels like she's being constantly watched and followed. And she sees this one man that like keeps coming to this conclusion of like him being followed and stalked by this dude. It's really interesting, a really, really good thriller, and it's a really good mindset of like being a woman, being like that. If like for people who don't understand like what women think of like, oh, I can never trust a man. I trust the man or the bear situation.
Yeah.
You watch this movie and then you get like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of does
The
suck.
bear,
It's
yeah.
especially like with her partner still kind of questioning like if it's actually good
Yeah,
for her or not.
and he's trying to be as supportive as he can, but it's just like that kind of like you're kind of being a little psycho. You know, you're kind of being a little. It's like I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I'm not lying.
Yeah.
It's so good though.
Okay. All right. Let's take a little break from the movies. Now let's talk about paranormal stuff.
Cool.
All right. Sorry, man. I'm like tired. Christian, you said you lived around the Zodiac killer. Or...
Yeah. So, yeah, the person who they
You
suspect.
get to make Mark Ruffalo.
No, no. It's funny when they were filming that movie, they almost came to the city that I live.
Really?
I live in Riverside, but the murder happened at
they
the
not?
community college, and they built over where it happened. There's a building there now.
Really?
It
Wait,
used to
what'd
be a
they build
parking lot.
over it? 'Cause I-
Because it used to be a parking lot.
Yeah.
In my understanding, yeah, and I think now it's the welding building, like the
okay.
trade school building. But yeah, no, their main suspect for the Zodiac killer had
RCC.
yeah, no, he had an aunt that lived in Riverside, and on Halloween he killed somebody at RCC.
And I went to RCC.
Yeah,
I was about to go to RCC too.
yeah, it was in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's a fun feeling knowing someone's been murdered there.
yeah, I worked with the dude who lived on the street when like around the time that he was very old, and he was around the time that it happened.
would say when it was murdered.
And yeah, he was like, "How did you know about that?" Because like no one talks about it. And he was like, when I saw the Zodiac movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, he was like, "I'm very surprised that they mentioned it because a lot of people think it wasn't real and it was just like somebody using
But I mean,
the
it was
Zodiac
all
name."
over
Yeah, yeah,
But I think the thing why he was probably surprised is because it was a murder that wasn't made by the Zodiac killer.
Oh.
Because he's only like, because most of them are like theorized when you look into it.
Yeah.
Because he's claimed some murders, and they're like when they see like certain timelines of like locations and like this murder, then this following murder, it's just like okay, some of these have to be copycat killers or like people taking advantage of the Zodiac name just to
just to get their name.
have the excuse
Yeah.
to kill someone. So, and that one was like labeled as like the RCC one was labeled as like his first murder, but like the guy's first ever murder, if I'm correct.
I believe so. Yeah, when they cross-referenced it with that one dude, I think it was the dude that they thought they caught, but he died in jail, from, like some heart attack thing. He was in Riverside when that killing happened, so they know that he wasn't lying about that one.
Yep.
So yeah, no, that one's crazy. Yeah, no. And I work at a university that is built on top of an old hospital, and there are said to be a few ghosts in each building. And I've worked alone one night there, and some shit was happening.
Tell
So,
us, man. You need to tell
It's
us.
spooky.
dude,
You can't just say it.
so like pans would fall off our storage racks. Paper towel dispensers would just go off in the middle of nowhere. I was the only person in the building, and there's this one thing. We have
It's a bug, man. It's a bug. It's a bug.
A big ass
we
bug.
have these really big walk-ins. So we're a university. We feed a lot of people. There's these really big walk-ins, and I walked into the walk-in, and one of the huge shelves was leaning over, and it wasn't a weight thing because I pushed it back, and it stood back right up, but it was just like hanging over, and that was really creepy. And I asked someone about it, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's Annabelle." Because apparently there was a child who died at the hospital when it used to be a hospital, and her name was Annabelle. It was not related to the movie at all. But
Wow.
Have you heard like voices or anybody speaking?
other people have said that they heard voices. It's usually pretty loud in that kitchen, so I don't hear anything. But a few managers have been like, yeah, no, when I was in the manager's office, I heard someone talking. I went to go find out who it was, and there's no one there.
And hospitals are pretty huge, so
Yeah.
to find anything, it's fucking. You
Yeah.
gotta really like do some walking around.
Yeah, no, it's ugh. I believe it. I don't even believe in ghosts that much, but like I believe it. There's something in there.
Dude, I gotta go there.
You should. I'll let you in the back.
Nick, what about you? Have you experienced anything?
Not personally, third hand. The closest experience I had, which we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I have a friend who has a demon attached to him. It's been intense. The backstory. Hey man, if you're watching, is you know, I should have asked before I mentioned this. Because it's not my story.
It's already out there, man. You gotta tell it now. You can't just.
It can be edited out.
I won't give a name. I'll do that.
Okay. Nick's friend, if you're watching.
Yeah.
Man.
It's his mom. She had a demon following around her, and the biggest thing is that she couldn't conceive, couldn't have any kids. So she made a deal with this demon, being like, "Please allow me children."
Oh,
And he
shit.
said, "Okay, cool, I can do that." He's like, "But I claim their souls when they die." Yeah.
Fuck.
So it's so he has permanently like attached to his soul. Like think of it almost like a more serious Venom Eddie Brock situation. Yeah, but you don't see it. And like he says, I've apparently secondhandedly met it before I knew this, because he says, "Oh, he's messed with you before," and I'm like, "Oh, how so?" He said, "Like once you like when we were playing a game once." And he said, all of a sudden, I started getting really good. He's like, that was him. He just made me really good. And I'm like, oh, okay.
So he helped you out to win the game.
No, not me. Him.
Oh, him.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. And my little, like, slight non-believer brain, I'm like, or you could just be good. But, like, he's my friend, and he's told me, like, I've been, like, studied by doctors to see if I'm going insane, and I've been proven I'm sane.
So what does he see though? Like, what does he experience that? truly believe
Having
this
this
is real.
demon attached to him allows him to see ghosts. So he's met 3 of the ghosts that are at my work.
Shit.
Yep.
Oh, wait, at the theater?
Yep.
Okay, I'm not going back there.
One of them, his name is Frank. Hi, Frank. He died in 2003. I told him to. Apparently, he was watching a horror movie, and he had a heart attack, like about
shit.
close to the ending. And this was legitified because he went and asked like my manager that's worked there like since like the building opened, and she said, yeah, there was like one time a guy had a heart attack. Like he asked like, has anybody died here, or like anything happened? And she's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that one time, and like a dude had a heart attack during a movie. He said that was crazy. I'm like, oh. And I think I saw him once. I was
Oh, okay.
alone cleaning that theater. I was at the very top row, and what looked like in the corner of my eye, it looked like when you're in those theaters, they're pretty tall.
Yeah. I've been in there. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and so at the bottom, at the corner, as I'm working, I thought I saw someone like, imagine just someone just like standing there, like arms out and just looking at you.
Oh, hell no.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I see that, and at first I'm like, is that a child? Because it kind of looks small, but like
Yeah.
my perception's off because I'm like way taller
Yeah.
than the dude at the moment. So, but I look, see nobody there. I'm like, I'm just insane. And then I mention it, and then he's like, oh no, you just saw Frank. And apparently he likes to mess with people. Like he says, like whenever a horror movie plays, he likes to mess with the girls. Like, cause if you're ever in that movie and all of a sudden you start hearing what's Frank.
Oh, it's a cat.
I was about to say, uh-oh.
Yeah, we're gonna end it now.
Frank moved.
Frank's here.
He says like if you hear what sounds like one of the chairs reclining, but you don't see it, that's him. He's messing with you. Just out of shits and giggles.
So which auditorium is it?
3. And you know it because it's got the one corner that has no lights.
Now is that just coincidence or is it just
It could be. I don't know what the technical term is. Like I
have you guys-
I haven't asked my management like, hey, why aren't those ever fixed? Because I don't really care. But like that's what he tells me. It's like, yeah, he kind of hangs out there. I don't know if that's where he died, but he kind of hangs out there a lot. And my coworker, because he's my coworker, my friend told me he also kind of will jump to theater 4 and like sometimes 7. but like 3 is where he kind of mainly hangs out. And I know it's a little legit because when I first started, an old coworker who doesn't work there anymore, they like would tell like, oh, Theater 3's haunted, and they're like saying one time like in the trash when you open the door and pull out the garbage like actual can, there's like a little door behind it, and they said one day they were like doing their job. And that door was just aggressively acting as if somebody was just banging it from like behind, like as if like trying to like alarm a whole building, like aggressive. And so they like removed everything and like opened it, so nobody there. So to know all that, and then to have my coworker and friend come in, I was like, okay, probably legitimate, legitimate.
No shit, man.
Yeah, and then there's 2 ghosts in our projection room, which felt more legit because everyone says, yeah, it's always kind of spooky feeling in there because it's always low lit because you can't have a light coming from the projection room.
Which projection room was it?
It's just the whole projection room.
Oh, the whole thing?
Yeah, it's all one connected room.
So when we had the film festival there, there was a girl that I believed was friends with Sue or something. They were like dating each other somehow, and she was up in the projector room playing the videos that we had submitted. And she was telling me, she's like, yeah, it's really creepy up there. Like, I don't want to be up there.
Yeah, that's apparently because there are ghosts up there. I don't know how they died. Neither does he, because he's tried talking to them, but they're kind of shy. Like, they're kind of that age where they're just still shy, or just never grew out of it, I guess. He says they wear like 90s clothes, so they passed during the 90s.
Damn.
I mean, yeah.
Was it a movie theater in the 90s, or was it like something else?
I don't know. I'm assuming the theater has gone through different owners, or like different events. That, or maybe they were just wearing some hand-me-downs. I don't know. I haven't asked, and I'm assuming my friend doesn't know since they don't talk.
Yeah.
The only thing he knows about them is that they wear like 90s clothing and they have big black eyes.
Oof.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's scary. I don't know.
Cool times.
Yeah, fun times. I had I swear, man, at work, it scares me sometimes because I have to open by myself. And so we have this room where it's where we wash screens for screen printing, right? So you have to use a power washer hose. And today that thing just like started spraying water like crazy. I'm like, well, there's nobody here. Who the fuck is pulling the trigger? Like, it's just like you could hear it like really loud. I'm like, what the fuck? And I walk over there and it just like it stopped. And every now and then that thing would just like move on its own. Now I think it's just all that water pressure that's in there that's probably just just moving the water. But at the same time, it happens daily, like every single day. And today it was just
Someone's trying to get your attention.
something, man. I don't know, but I kind of don't want to be in there alone. Yeah. So yeah. That's my story for today.
That's fun. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other ghost stories? Any other?
I do have others, but these are stories from my father. So, nothing that's directly affected me. I'm a safe child.
Do you feel like you will ever experience something like that?
If I do, I won't recognize that it is. I'll just assume
Just ignore it.
Yeah.
It's just like if something just falls, I'll just think my arm hit it because I'm just like, just like I'm a little sloppy when I walk. And so I'm like, oh, I dropped something. Okay. Oh, well. And like, that's where I'm like, oh my God, in my family, that's like me and my family always joke, like if a ghost or everything came out, it'd be like the most pissed off ghost. Cause it'd be like, I'm trying to haunt you, but we'll just assume like, oh, one of us dropped something, or it's just like, oh well. Yeah, oh well, move on. Okay. Just move on with our life. Because it'd be like, hello.
Yeah.
I'm trying to scare you.
Yeah.
But I mean, they say that if you give it the attention it's looking for, then that's when it really.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like, I'll probably be chill. I'm like, I'll just assume it's me.
What about you, Christian? Any other?
Yeah, kind of the same. I think I just assumed that it was other things than actual. That's not where my mind would go first.
Yeah.
But there have been times where like I've heard someone call my name when I'm home alone.
That is scary, man.
It's out.
It's awful. when that
And
happens.
I'm like, and my name's kind of long. It's got 9 letters, so like it's not just a creek can make that name. Like that's creepy.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I had somebody call out my name as a kid, and just out of that,
I saw that
experience alone,
story.
Yeah, it's freaky. Like it still to this day gives me the chills. And so my thing is, because I have like stomach pains when I sleep, so I have to sit down and sleep. So I go to the living room and I sleep on the couch. And before I even close my eyes, I just think like, man, what if something's watching me or somebody's watching me, and I'm just
Your body will react. It'll
yeah. But I mean,
That's
I
happened to me
I
a
know
couple
it's not
times.
there, but it just like it's one of those things that just planted in my
Well,
head.
what you've been through, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have a question for you guys. Well, first, how religious are you guys?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
I'm
at
a
all.
baptized Catholic, but not at all.
So you don't like practice the whole
No.
Christian?
Yeah.
Were you raised Catholic Christian?
I was raised Christian.
Christian,
If
okay.
the name doesn't give it away. Yeah.
No.
I was raised
not.
Christian parents. Yeah.
Lying.
I know.
I thought you were Buddhist.
I know.
So I was having this conversation with my cousin's husband at a party we had over the weekend, and he brought up a really interesting point that made me think, and I want you guys to like really think about it and just tell me what your thoughts are on this. But when people talk about like paranormal stuff, they always associate it with religion, right? Why can it not be associated with religion? Like,
Do you want to lead?
like take away the aspect of whatever religion or religious background you come from. Why can't it just be a door that opened? Why can't it just be you heard something, but it's instead of tying it straight directly into the religion aspect of it.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people live with like religious guilt, especially people who have walked away from being religious, especially in Catholic and Christian communities. A lot of people feel that, and there's always something in the back of their mind because like that's what you were taught when you were kids. So like when you see something like that, like because Christians at least we are taught that like there are angels and demons walking on the earth. So like I have a relative who genuinely believes in paranormal stuff, but she thinks that they're all angels and demons doing stuff and not like ghosts or something. But yeah, no, I think it's because we think of things that are dead as being either from heaven or hell. That's very enrooted in a lot of people's brains, and that just goes straight to religion.
Yeah. Because part of religion as well is, well, for our time and age, because we don't really have that many new religions. Christianity is like the newest one, but even then it's still kind of older.
Yeah.
It's got its
So,
Yeah.
but they're always referring to something that, or like someone that we don't know if we can verify is real. Like God, you can maybe argue Jesus was real, which probably. But God himself, his father, you don't really know that he doesn't have like, oh yeah, here's like a handkerchief of his,
Yeah.
You can't just do that. So it's almost like this belief in a third entity. So whenever you see something happen that would possibly maybe not be explainable, you might think to like the religious thing that's put into you,
Yeah.
you would probably think, oh, that's probably this third entity that's just playing something on it. Because no matter what religion you go to, like in history, it's always some third entity that is not exactly within a grasp. It's something you just kind of have to put your faith into.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, they're real. They exist.
And I think that like it also gives some people some like they're able to like drop responsibility for it kind of. They're like, oh
Yeah.
well, it can't be me. It's God.
It's that devil.
It's Satan, you guys. It can't be me. It's something I did. There's nothing I can do about it. They just push off responsibility for it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Kristen? How do you feel about that question?
I guess at least to me, some people kind of feel like a sense of like safety with it, like
Okay.
like all this bad stuff like that's happening that can't be caused as kind of like you said, not by me, but like other people that have something against me.
Yeah.
So they just push it off to that as well, but also just kind of explain the unexplainable. Like they don't want people necessarily don't like the unknown, so they just kind of push it to something like, oh, this is something I do know, so I'll just have it be that I'll keep that as what I think it is.
And that's why I'm not very much of a follower of religion, because
Yeah.
at a basis they'll all be the same, yet like literal wars and genocide is created in the name of a religion,
Oh yeah, I mean, look at the Middle East. A lot
yeah.
of those wars are because of religion.
literally.
Yeah.
And to me, a lot of it seems like you said, just people don't like the feeling of unknown. So some people need it just because like they don't like the idea of like when you die, it's done,
yeah.
it's over, goodbye, c'est la vie.
Yeah.
And then for some people, I don't believe like some people just can't find it within themselves to act kindly and humanly to their existing humans and on their good green planet. So they need the excuse of, oh, I got another dad, mom, dad watching
Yeah.
me. I gotta be a good
Daddy.
boy.
Yeah.
That's how it kind of comes off to me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm like, I'm not a follower of it because like one, it's essentially all the same. They all say the same thing.
And that's one of the things that pisses me off. Is like, oh no, our religion is this.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude,
But we're the,
what does it?
and when they
does it
say like,
matter?
oh, we're the originator, it's like, calm down.
Yeah. No.
But I mean, again, does it matter? Like, are you getting the message instead of
Yeah.
you know?
And that's where it's really interesting, and I'm kind of turning it back to a movie because it's a movie that helped me, like, that helps kind of come to these things because movies are great.
Yeah.
There's the movie. Have you guys know the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
Yes.
Okay,
Wait, which one?
the one that just came out like a month,
Oh,
several
okay,
months ago.
okay,
Yeah.
Have any of you seen it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have
Seen
not.
it. Seen it. Okay,
No?
then I'll not spoil it for you in case you
I,
want to see
I
it.
do not care.
Oh, okay. Well, for spoilers for those,
Yeah.
what it takes place like 3 centuries after the death of Caesar,
Uh-huh.
and the movie itself opens with Caesar, as you guys know.
Yeah.
And so what it is, and if you see, it's a huge play on religion because we saw
I thought
Caesar,
the same
we
thing.
saw him live, we saw what his philosophies were and what he was just trying to raise for just apes as a clan leader, and then he became this whole, religious figure for everyone, and then like whole factions were created. Some twisted as where it's just to gain power
Yeah.
for their own selves. Some like over glorified and over fantasized of what his faith in was and like how the past was, and some
Yeah.
were just kind of in the between of it. And I find that a really interesting aspect and like analogy of how religion like works in today, and how like there's probably like always like good intention behind it, good moral, but like no matter where you go, like there's always going to be a religion that will replace the other one, as we've seen through our history. But it's always going to be the same, and it's always going to be someone's going to manipulate it for one reason and for the other. So that's why it's always, if you're going to go for it, be truthful and honest. Just be a kind person. That's all you need to do. And that's where I'm like, take care of the world now, then worry about it later.
Yeah.
And that's what pretty much religions try to teach you. Hey, take care of everything now.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how you earn your reward later. But
Yeah.
people like to focus on the reward later rather than now.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing I'm gonna say before we head out. On
Okay.
The podcast.
Sure.
And this is for everybody here behind the cameras, okay, and in front of the cameras. I'm letting you guys know if I go first before all of you,
Uh-oh.
I'm
Honest.
coming back and I'm gonna fuck with everybody.
Okay.
Just so you guys know.
Okay.
One thing fall, I'm like, oh, hell, bro.
Oh, yeah.
just letting it be known. Whatever I can do, I'll make it happen. Believe
Cool.
that.
Yeah.
Especially her.
Okay.
Oh.
Amazing.
No, that's one of the things that I've thought about. Like, if I'm for some reason still seeing like this world after I die, and I
Yeah.
still see you guys walking around,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna do it for fun. just for fun.
Just for fun.
Just for fun.
We're going to play with my corpse.
Exactly.
Oh.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
I get to the extreme, huh?
Hey,
Okay.
if I ever get a more gay thought, I'm gonna be like, oh, that's Alberto. That's Alberto. That's Alberto in there.
That's me.
It's 9 a.m. in the morning, but he knows. He knows.
All right, guys. So we'll wrap it up there. Thank you guys for coming on this podcast. You again, Nick.
Thank you for having me again. I have a blast.
No problem.
Solid guest. You have so much to say, man. So
Yeah.
much. Christian, I would love to have you back again on another podcast.
Anytime.
And we'll wrap it up there. Hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yes.
And
Like and
don't forget
subscribe.
about the-
Great
the
content.
merch.
Great stuff.
My body's a
Wonderful.
little,
Awesome
You look
stuff.
stylish.
Yes, the beanie.
I try not to. Yeah, so we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
See you. Bye.